Hi everyone. Uh, Thank you for waiting. We will begin the sharing now by Mr. Zhan. He will share with us his experiences at the various companies he has worked for, and we will start with the Q&A session after his sharing. Mr. Zhan, please.
Thank you, Michael. Can you all hear me?
Yes, very loud and clear.
All right, great. And also let me turn on my video. Okay, I suppose you can see my slides as well?
Yes, can see your slides.
Michael?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. All right. First of all, thank you for inviting me back. It's a very nice way to reconnect with IC community. So I graduated in 2009, and the 4 years has been a great experience. So at the time, we only had like 50 people in my batch. So it's I think it's a much smaller compared to the size like nowadays. And I went on exchange program to Georgia Tech, and that was pretty great experience as well. It's actually was so great that I actually went back for a master afterwards. Yeah, in all, it's a very great experience. And some of the friends I made in IC, we still kind of keep in touch until now. Actually, I was kind of approached first by Hobin, which is my classmate, right? And I used to copy homework from him. So, but anyway, so let's get started. So first of all, a very quick introduction of myself. So I graduated from IC in US, and then with a minor in management. And then afterwards, I went on to do a double master program from Georgia Tech and the TLIAP. I don't know whether the double master program still exists now, but by the time it was one of the two joint programs available to us. The other one is with MIT, called SMA, and this is the other one. So, so apparently, Georgia Tech, I like it, so I went back. So after graduating from the master program, I joined DHL on the referral of a senior. So there was a contract. It was actually a contract position for 6 months, and there was in their global solutions department, where we take care of the top 100 customers of DHL globally. So we support them with analytics, with issue identification and root cause analysis. So it was actually my first kind of professional experience, and that's when I really kind of put my Excel skills to use. So after the contract, I decided not to stay and join Schlumberger. So Schlumberger is the world's #1 oil and gas service company. And they have, I think, more than 10 entities in Singapore. So I joined one of the technology centers located in Changi at the time. So I was there for 4 years. I completed the trainee program, which they call advanced. And that was mainly in rotating, across different functions, functions within supply chain. And then I was approached by McKinsey. And this is still so far, one of the best things that happened to me. So after about 4 months of preparation and interviewing, so I made it. That was still, one of the best highlights of my career life. So I was in McKinsey for exactly 2 years. And during that 2 years, it was a completely eye opener for me. I think I am where I am now because of McKinsey. So in the subsequent sharing, I will focus on my experience in McKinsey as well. I think for you guys, who's still in school or who's going to kind of graduate, I think this is one of the best starting points that you can have. Yeah, I will elaborate more on that later on. So after 2 years in McKinsey, mainly because of family reasons, I decided to leave and join Telenor. So Telenor is a telco company for Norway. So it's essentially a Singtel for Norway. Yeah. And I was recruited to be part of the initial team to set up their global sourcing entity in Singapore. So it was quite a good experience, where I could put all the learnings that I got from McKinsey into practice. So we literally set up the company from zero to grown up. Now there's like 200 employees in the sourcing entity. And afterwards, I joined Mercer as a senior consulting director. So that was mainly because, based on my experience, I realized more and more the importance of people, and how you can set up the structure, the systems, the processes to unlock, the efficiency, and to allow the people to reach their potential. I think that's more and more become the key factor. And Mercer is the #1 human resource consulting firm in the world. So that's why I went there. So far it's been pretty good, yeah? So, okay, so that's a very quick introduction of myself. Then for the rest of the presentation, I'm going to focus on my experiences from McKinsey. And I do hope, this will be able to provide you with some insights on, what life of a consultant could be. And I do hope you can consider this option when you graduate. Again, I think this is one of the best starting points. Okay. All right. So let's go. So why do I value the experience in McKinsey so much? Because from the 2 years, I have learned things I probably need maybe 10 years to learn in a normal job. And also I also had tons of fun. So so let's get started with learning first, right? So these are the 5 aspects that I kind of gathered from the consulting experience, and I think it applies to everybody. So first of all, basic skills like presentation skills, modeling skills, desktop research skills, interview skills. So these are the basic skills that you need for as a consultant, and you need those in the rest of your life as well, in pretty much everything, in your work, in your everyday life, when you deal with the families, it all works, okay? It will all help you. And soft skills like structure and logical thinking. So this is something, if you do join as a consultant, you will spend some time learning, and probably you will struggle a bit with as well, because it's at least to me, it was counterintuitive at the time, yeah. But once you kind of grasp the skill, it kind of helps you a long way. Project management, yeah, and communications. The third one is knowledge base. So basically, you will have experience, you'll have opportunities to work in multiple industries, in multiple functions, and in multiple different cultures. So in terms of industries, so during the 2 years, I worked in let's see, mining industry, biotech, auto, manufacturing, dairy, agriculture, yeah, also chemical. Yeah, one of them being explosive company, which is a pretty interesting to see their workshops and everything. In terms of functions, I focus primarily on procurement, but there are opportunities to tap in, for example, supply chain, sales, strategy, corporate finance, different areas. Yeah, you get a different perspective when you kind of look at things from kind of different perspective from functions. Yeah, and also cultures. So in the 2 years, I worked in China, in Singapore, in India, in Thailand, in New Zealand, in Australia, in Spain, in Canada. Yeah, so you got a pretty wide exposure to the culture as well. Yeah, accelerated learning. So everything is accelerated. You have to, it's up or out. So you either make it or you don't. So you just have to learn everything in an accelerated manner, which is good. As a fresh grad out of school, I think this is something that you will have, and it will help you a lot. Then the next one is perspective. So after working in so many functions, industries, right, and when you communicate with the top management of the clients, most of the time is for Fortune 500 companies or even government officials. When you talk with them, you clearly see their perspective is very different from, say, engineer, right? And then you get those global and systematic perspective. You think about things in, you try to, it feels just natural for you to put things into a bigger picture so that you understand in a more, deeper and complete level. Also deep insights, yeah, and because you're working with experts most of the time, yeah, and best practice. So you get to see, for example, procurement. You get to see how procurement is done, for example, in auto industry and in oil and gas industry. You'll see auto industry is like light years ahead than oil and gas industry, and then you can apply the relevant experiences from the auto industry to the oil and gas, yeah. So, and also business elite. So when you are a top consultant or when you're consulting a top firm, you're surrounded with good people. So you are, all you see is that there's so many people who are more talented than you, who are more successful than you, and they're still working so much harder than you. So, in a way, it's a endless journey. You just keep improving yourself. The only thing you worry about is that you're not improving yourself fast enough. So I think that's the environment that really sets the tone, for the top consulting industry. And I think that's a really great environment to be in. So before this, I was actually a pretty arrogant guy. I would copy homework from my classmates and ask them, are you sure this is the right answer? Things like that. But once I kind of see those people, it's very hard to be arrogant again. It will be lucky if your esteem doesn't get hurt in those kind of environments. So really, really valuable for me. Life planning, yeah. First of all, if you have top consulting experience, you'll have a much broader choice. You'll have much broader choices for life. I will again elaborate more later. And also after seeing so many things and experience so many different industries, interacting with different people from different level from different industries, you will be able to kind of know what you really like and what you really kind of fit for. So I think that's because of so many stuff that you are able to make better choices. Yeah. So I think these are the 5 kind of aspects of learning. I think that everybody will get out from top consulting. And also one last point before we move on is that you see a $sign in the bottom of the slide. I don't know whether this applies to everybody, but this is also a very key piece of learning for me as well. So first of all, you get a lot of money being a consultant. Yeah, the salary is one of the best, especially if you join MBB, AD Kearney, and those prestige and boutique firms. But what taught me, or rather, what really opened my eyes, was not how much money you make, is like how you actually spend money. When you are, probably some of you already kind of have done, exchange programs or work and travel, things like that. It's a great experience. I've done those as well. But in those things, you always think that you don't have a lot of money. That's why, you kind of approach things, trying to save money. For example, you spend like a night in the airport, just to save on the hotel money, stuff like that. I have done that a lot as well. But once I got into McKinsey, this totally changed. First of all, you can claim pretty much everything back. But then what actually drives you is, to deliver the best for the client. So from that starting point, you start to pay for rest. You start to pay to save time. You start to pay for convenience. I think this is something that I had never done before McKinsey. I came from a very humble background. I was in school on scholarship. Otherwise, I've never be able to kind of afford it. So, but you know, money kind of mean different things to me at that time. For example, I would land in an airport and I would just immediately find a hotel, even if it's just for 2 hours or 3 hours of sleep. And then, you know, all this because I want to rest well so that I can be my best during the client meetings, you know, next morning. And also, you don't kind of take public transport most of the time, and you don't even take taxis because you have to wait for them to come. You always book a car in advance, and you know, when you need to go, they are downstairs waiting for you, and they will send you directly to the airport gate where they will put you closest to the check-in, you know, counter. And also, you fly a lot on business. Or sometimes even you pay for express check-in just to save time, yeah? Because your time are much more valuable than those kind of expenses. You know, the other thing is that when you go for a medical checkup or when you go see a doctor, you don't wait for the doctors. You make appointments ahead of time so that the doctors will be waiting for you when you're there, yeah? So these are the things, you know, I think probably it may seem like a waste of money. It certainly did to me for the first half year or so. But then you will see if as long as you are doing it for the benefits of the firm, for the benefits of the clients, you know, it's well worth it. And I didn't, I mean, the most direct reason for me to keep doing it is that I can basically claim everything back. But then even after I leave McKinsey, this habit stay with me. So for now, I will still pay for rest. If I have an important meeting next day, I will still pay for convenience, you know, if that can save me a few minutes so that I can prepare a little bit better on my presentation. So I think these are the habits that stay with you, you know, afterwards. And I think this really kind of helped me a long way for it, because if not for this experience, I cannot imagine, you know, I would pay for those things. So at least, you know, you know, when I was a student or when I just started my professional career, yeah. So okay, yeah. So these are the learnings that I would like to share with you. And now let's get to the fun part, yeah. So as a consultant, you will travel a lot, yeah. So if you have seen the movie Up in the Air by George Clooney, you'll understand what's like, you know. So I mean, these are some of my status, right? So I was ahead of 99.6% of all the kind of travelers that use this app, and this is not even complete because a lot of international flights is not included in here. And if you see the picture in the middle, that's kind of the route that you go, you know. It's just that you will travel a lot, and you will stay in hotels a lot. In 2017, I stayed in hotels for 316 days. So that's not normal, even for consultants. That's actually because I took one project in New Zealand, one project in Canada, one project in Spain, and I couldn't return to Singapore. It doesn't make sense for me to return to Singapore every week. It's just too far away, and you don't get to rest. You don't get to spend time with your family, and then when you return kind of exhausted. So it just didn't make sense. So instead, I spent a lot of time just, you know, in New Zealand, in Canada, and then my family will fly to join me for 2 weeks, for example. So these are the things, you know, for better or for worse, these are the things that you need to experience as a top consultant. If you talk to kind of ex-consultants, a lot of them will tell you they leave because of the traveling, because of the lifestyle, because of the you know, the lifestyle, because of the schedule and everything. You know, it does start to, you know, slowly to get to you if you keep doing this. But for you guys, you know, fresh grads with no family, I think this is good. You know, being on the road for me kind of stimulates my energy and also my kind of sharpness. I learn better, or rather, I read better on a flight than, for example, in front of a desk. And these are the things that you've experienced, this will kind of give you stories where you can tell, no matter which stage you are in your life, because you get to experience so many things that most people don't get to. For example, I was in engagement in India, and I was rushing back for training in Shanghai, and then when so the flight basically hit a dog on the runway. And the landing gear was compromised. So we have to come back to the original airport, and I had to miss that training. And then, I had just have to drive for like 2 hours for another flight, for another airport, and then kind of take another flight. So these are the things that you don't kind of experience, right? When I tell the story, people will be like, how can a dog get on the runway, right? And moreover, how can a plane just hit it, right? So what can I say, right? Incredible India. So these are the stories that you can tell to people, and people will be like, wow, these kind of things, and it just make your life experience richer. You can that when you experience something like this again, you won't be surprised. I think this is life is all about. Yeah, you get to travel a lot, and of course you got a lot of miles. You got a lot of, like, for example, SPG or Marriott points where you can enjoy. For example, I have, for a period of time, I was crazy about handsets, like wireless handsets, and I didn't spend a dime on them. I just kind of exchange with points. So these kind of, again, take you a long way, right? Whenever I take my family on trips, I don't have to spend on hotels. Because I have enough points to just do the exchange. So yeah, this if you like it, if you can take it, there's a lot of benefits of it. Okay, and then I would like to show you kind of a few pictures of the office. This is Mckinsey office, of course. So this is a view from the Singapore office, so you can see the flyer. And this is actually Shanghai office. They have a crazy kind of screen in the office, and then every Friday afternoon they'll start playing movies. And also every Friday they'll have a buffet lunch. They actually have breakfast every day as well. Yeah. So they'll have buffet lunch, and they'll have different activities, like, for example, VR games. They will engage with external contractors to conduct activities at home, because they want to promote home office Friday. That means you spend Monday to Thursday at clients, and you return to office on Friday, and that's where you kind of interact, you network with your own colleagues. And for example, some best practice sharing, and more often than not, Friday night will always end with a big dinner and also KTV. Yeah. So if you really kind of, if you really want to be taken care of by the firm, by the company that you work for, as a very valued asset, consulting is the best place you can go, because they didn't have anything. They didn't have anything else apart from the people. If you go to a factory, the machines are the key assets. If you go to, for example, I don't know, any corporate, most likely you are not the most valuable asset. You are just kind of part of the process. You are just kind of do your job and deliver to the next stage or to the next person or even to a machine, right? But if you really want to be valued as a kind of personal value, consulting is the place to go. And this is actually Delhi office. Delhi office is probably the only office McKinsey has. Delhi office is the only office where McKinsey owns the property, the land, the building. So it's huge. And this is actually a Diwali celebration in the office. This is my first Diwali and only Diwali that I spent in India. So you start having beer from lunch, and then you have like band, you have committees, you have different activities, and all your kind of all the employees with their families, significant others are kind of invited. So yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and also Mckinsey will organize kind of off-site team buildings once a year on a firm level, and then multiple years if you have for example, project team, or you have a small department, they can have their own kind of activities. Yeah. So these are the things that, so basically they have a lot of budget for it. For example, when I was in Shanghai, we went to Taipei once, we went to Tibet once, and these are kind of, you can bring your family and just to see kind of, this is kind of a appreciation that the firm extends to the family as well. Yeah. So this is the office. And of course, when you travel a lot, you get to see a lot of sceneries. Yeah. So this is in New Zealand. So if you recognize it, this is actually where the Lord of the Rings was filmed. This is the Mountain Doom, and the picture on the right is actually the way, when you drive up to the mountains. I mean, after you ditch your car, you have to hike for another long time to actually reach the foot of the mountain. But when you see this, you kind of get the feeling. Get the feeling of the film. With all this kind of the sky, the fog and everything. So pretty good experience. And this is also in New Zealand. In New Zealand, you will kind of see a lot of rainbows, way too much. And you can see, if you can kind of see clear, look closely, the picture on the left, it actually has a triple rainbow. Yeah. Yep. It's an amazing country. It's beautiful. Yeah. And the picture on the right is actually I couldn't even remember which hotel. It's actually kind of a hotel. So when you woke up in the morning and you see things like this, it just kind of makes your day. Yeah. So this is actually a second-tier city in China. So this is not flooded. This is simply a pool. But when you look at from this side of the pool, you kind of you see all the water connected. I love this kind of sceneries because it just reminds you how big life can be, right? And you pretty much see this every time because with the budget, with allowance from McKinsey, you get to stay in either 5-star hotels or the best hotel, locally. So yeah, so this becomes kind of there actually could come to a point where you are more familiar with the hotels than your own house. Yeah, which kind of sounds pathetic, but yeah, it's possible. And of course, you do a lot of fun stuff as well. I always imagine myself riding horses and do archery in places like Mongolia. That's kind of where the Hans and made their history. But I never imagined I would do a lot of those in Spain. This is I think this is about 3 hours drive from the capital. And it's a pretty kind of mountainous area, and I did a lot of that riding and archery. So this is in New Zealand. So basically 1 weekend. Okay, maybe a little bit on the New Zealand engagement, because New Zealand is a small country. McKinsey doesn't really have an office. So when they have an engagement there, the people are from all over the place. So there's a guy from South Africa. There's a lady from Hong Kong. There's a guy from US. 2 guys from Russia. And I'm from Singapore. Yeah. So so this is one of the best engagement I had, simply because no one is from anywhere close. Oh yeah, of course there's 2 guys from Sydney office over. I mean, they go back during the weekend, but most of us stay. And then we kind of go on trips together. We do fun stuff together. So this is actually, we decided to go hunting and fishing for the 1 weekend, and we caught 1 fish. Yeah, we didn't kind of kill anything. I mean, kill anything online, right? We gotta get a fish, and then we decided to do sushi ourselves. So yeah, it's just, it's just very, very fun. So and we're trying to sky the girl from Hong Kong. It's just a very fun experience. And whenever we kind of think about these experiences, it just bring up good old memories. And when for example, if I go to Hong Kong, if I go to South Africa, I can always hook up with them. Yeah. So these are the things that kind of connect people. Yes. And this is actually a show that we went to. The people you see are actually New Zealand locals. They are called the Maoris. Yeah, the show, you get to see the show, kind of experiences their way of life and eat their food. Yeah, so it's pretty good, pretty good. And these are the games that I went to. Yeah. So I think the one on the left is the handball game between New Zealand and South Africa for World Championship. Yeah. And of course, there's always the food, right? You can go somewhere elegant like this, and maybe afterwards you're still half hungry and you still need to go back to the hotel and order room service, but this is definitely one option. Or you can go totally opposite, just fill your stomach with whatever that you like. Or you can go somewhere special, this is probably the most special McDonald's I've ever seen. It's in, it's kind of, it's located inside a plane. Yeah, it's pretty good. And of course, you can do something. You all can always do something crazy and look stupid. Yeah, this is in Taipei. So, so all in all, you kind of have a lot of fun. I know you face a lot of challenges as well. But if you can make it, this could be the most rewarding experience for you, right? It is certainly for me. Okay, I was also asked to give some advice for your consideration. Here, I would like to, give you two pieces of advice. The first one is, if you have the chance, try consulting, and go for those top ones, because this could be one of the best starting points for you, in terms of your career and your life. And the second one is to start thinking about your life plans. So it's never too early to do that. Okay, so then I will kind of elaborate on each of the points. So you have seen this slide. So the learnings have taken me a long way, and I think it will take you a long way as well. And not only you get those learnings, you'll also get them in a very much accelerated manner. Because in top consulting is up or out. If you hit the 10 point and you cannot progress to the next level, then you're pretty much out. So yeah, so you either grow fast or you kind of get out. So this is a kind of career path for McKinsey. Yeah, you join as a business analyst, then you progress to associate, to engagement manager, to associate partner, to partner, and senior partners. So if you look at the first three, kind of the first four levels, you only get 2 to 3 years to progress. 2 years is actually a kind of a more common point, unless you have shown large potential at the end of the 2 years. You are usually not given another chance, right? You are just basically out. But when you are out, they give you 6 months of grace period. So during the 6 months, you don't have to do anything, but you're still an employee of McKinsey. So this 6 months is basically for you to look for a job with a salary. Yeah. So they do take care of people, but they don't keep people that couldn't make it. Yeah. So that's you got to learn how to do slides, how to do Excel modeling, how to understand the industry, and how to communicate with higher management of clients, and how to manage your own time. There's tons of things that you need to learn, and you just have to learn it very, very quickly. Yeah. Yep. And also, if you want to go somewhere, you will have tons of exit options. Yeah. So this is kind of a statistic, where people go after consulting. Finance is obviously kind of one of the top choices, I believe, because of the money and because of the demanding nature of the work. Then more and more in tech and startups, and of course there's manufacturing. Actually, I have seen a bigger portion of kind of ex-colleagues going into manufacturing, because now they are going digital, they are going Industry 4.0. These are exciting stuff. You know, when you see a workshop, a kind of workshop floor full of robots, and this is something that you can, manufacturing is no longer kind of, you know, human, you know, labor intensive kind of traditional industry. It can actually, you know, it can actually be shocking to you. Yeah, I have been to one of the lighthouse factories. It's just eye-opening. You know, sales, health, you know, education, and some of them become celebrities as well. Or you know, before they join, they are already a celebrity of some kind. There's the Olympic gold medalist. That could be a colleague. You know, so you know, this kind of things that you have tons of options. You know, and also during the 2 years or at least for me, or rather during your consulting days, then you'll be able to see a lot, and you'll be able to think a lot what you really want, and you can discuss with good people. You know, in consulting, there's no kind of internal competition, because you know, it's not like 5 people fighting for one position. As long as you hit the bar, you progress to the next level. So there's kind of no internal competition within the firm, and then as a consequence, you have much less politics, and everybody wants you to success, because the better you are, you know, or rather think of this way: if you're on the same project team and you couldn't make it, then someone else needs to do your job. Yeah. So and everyone is super stressed, you know, on a typical engagement. So you will see everybody wants your success. So yeah. And for me, right, the other thing you get, you know, after, as long as you have top consulting on your resume or on your LinkedIn profile, you will never stop receiving calls from headhunters. You know, even during the peak of the COVID, I keep getting calls from them. So that's, you know, so even sometimes the positions are clearly out of reach for me. You know, there was this time, one of the 4 major banks in Singapore, they had a new CEO and they wanted an EVP to help do the transformation. I mean, I read the scope. I know I'm not up for it, but people are willing to give you a chance. You know, they are willing to spend time to talk to you, and give you a chance to prove yourself. So once you have those on your resume, you have tons of opportunities. The only thing you need to worry about is that you can qualify for those opportunities. Yeah. So again, you know, with all the learnings, you know, and the fast learnings, and also all the exit options, you know, seriously, I would really strongly recommend you to try consulting, if you have the opportunity. Yeah. And as IC students, I do think you have advantages. Yeah, I graduated from IC, and I personally felt that I personally feel, you know, the things I learned from IC curriculum actually helped me a lot. First of all, is a system view, you know, managerial perspective, and an optimization mindset. So these are the things that you don't get in other engineering branches. For example, electrical engineering, their project will be, for example, design an electrical system. You know, it's part of the chain. But as a system engineering, you get to have the systematic view, and of course you have the optimization, you know, mindset. You even have a, you know, for example, operation research. You know, what do you think consultants do? Most of the time, they are optimizing things, they are improving things, they're solving problems, and this is kind of this is where you learn, right? You know, the lessons, the modules that you take will help you on this. The second is the consulting type projects. For me, the project that kind of left me with the most impression is SDP, System Design Project. We did a project with Tech, and now they are Macro, on their routing down systems. Yeah, so that was purely optimization, you know, project. You understand the requirement, you understand the problem, you try to provide a solution. So these are the consulting type projects, and of course software skills. Excel will help you a lot. most of the modeling and analysis is actually done in Excel. Sometimes you have to handle large or very large data sets. For example, like a few 100,000 lines of data, and you have to be able to get rid of the noise, extract the insights. So it's not easy, yeah. But the thing is, you get to do this already in your system project, in your FYP, or in your in some of the modules, like for example, simulation. We did a lot of data analysis in our simulation projects. I think we started the waiting time in the campus clinic, yeah. So we'll sit in the clinic, like gathering data, and then come in to build models and do an analysis. The other thing is, for example, solver, right? Excel solver. This is something that I think you will use in operation research class. And in Mckinsey, there is a tool called value in use. It's essentially just a solver. It's just much more complicated. So, for example, right, one of the application scenario is that you need coal to generate heat, and then at the same time, your sulfur content cannot reach a certain level because of environmental regulations. And then so how? So the coals that contain less sulfur will be more expensive, and those that contain more sulfur will be cheaper. So which type of coal should you buy? You shouldn't buy either one of them. You should buy a mix, and then the model will tell you, the kind of proportion. Is it 30%, 70%, or 40% or 60%? So the way they do it is exactly the same as you did in your project in operation research. It's just more complicated. Sometimes, for example, sometimes it's not a linear, constraint. You may use, for example, square and stuff. When you use that, the model becomes very slow. But then that's kind of maybe you can call it advanced technique. How do you translate those squares into a linear progression, linear kind of relationship, and it doesn't change the solution? That's the things that kind of challenges, not the solver model. It's still kind of you type in all these constraints, you type in the optimization function, and then you click solve. That's it, right? So these are the things that I don't think any other engineering disciplines will give you that, or at least in that kind of depth. Yeah, the other thing is you could, for example, simulation software. In certain technical projects, you will also be need to use those as well. These are the advantages that you have, and I hope in the rest of your kind of university life, you could focus a little bit more on these aspects, and they will help you get into consulting. Okay, all right. I think that's the first advice for consideration. The second is to start thinking about your life plans, right? What do you really want in life? So kind of this is a very kind of widely used model, right? You need to find something that you love, the work needs, you are good at, and that's worth something to people. People will pay for it. So that this is something. The overlap of all these 4 dimensions will be something that that will be something that worth focusing for you. It's extremely hard. I haven't reached there yet, but it's never too early to start. I wish I could. I wish I started much earlier than I actually did. So, yep. So I think that's all the sharing.